How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Toon TV. This is your player ratings for the end of season 22-23. I am here with Carl from 100% MAGS. How you doing, Carl?
Hi, mate. Not bad. Yourself?
Not doing too bad. A bit of a hectic start. As you can see, guys, my camera's not working. A bit of a Tottenham start, as you can see. But anyway, guys, hope you guys are enjoying your day. It's lovely weather where I am. I'm pretty sure it's good weather up there, up in Newcastle, Carl.
Yeah, it is very warm.
Yeah, I bet it is. Well, it's not normally like that in Newcastle, is it really? Anyway, guys, before we get into the live one, please make sure you can like and subscribe to the channel. As you can, well, you can't see, but we are on the road now to 3,000 subscribers. So please make sure you hit that subscribe button if you are new. It just takes a second out of your day, and it's completely free. Social links also down below, and there's also a link to Carl's YouTube channel, 100% Mags, down below, so you can go give him a subscribe. And yeah, if you like the video, so we stay up there in the recommendation pages. And yeah, let's get right into the live one. Right, Carl, I was talking to Tony the other night about how the season's gone, and I want to ask you the question: how do you think the season's gone?
I think, to be honest, I was expecting us to have a season like this. That's why in my predictions I said for Newcastle to finish 5th. So I was expecting that we would have a really good, really amazing season, and we have had that. I mean, getting to a cup final, that's amazing in itself. Finishing inside the top 4 as well, it's just absolutely crazy when you consider what we were like, before Eddie Howe came in, before the owners came in, so I think we've had an absolutely fantastic season when you look at it from, that point of view. And that's what we've got to look at it from, because we're only just getting into having these owners. And Eddie Howe, of course, that was the full season, just gone there under them owners and under Eddie Howe. And we're now heading into a second season under them, and hopefully next season will be as good as what we've witnessed this season.
And yeah, cheers for that, Carl. Camera's working now, guys. So we are back. We are fully back. I need to get my lighting up. We'll go through a few comments. Little fella says, afternoon, guys. Afternoon, the little fella. I've noticed you in the chat, so hope you subscribe, mate. Ian's there as always. Afternoon, Jack and Carl, says Ian. Ian, hope you're having a brilliant afternoon. Dean 3 tons says, afternoon, boys. They should be 9A and 10s, 9s and 10s for me. We'll have a look later on. But I mean, the players have performed brilliant this season, haven't they, Carl? I mean, I don't think I can name one player, even Jamal Lascelles, who haven't really performed. I mean, we didn't see as good as a season as we've seen last season. It feels weird saying that now, last season, but most people will put that down to the money. Most people put that down to the owners, because they're salty and they want our owners, because our owners actually care about the club. But most of that has to go down to the players and the management.
Yeah, I fully agree. The way we've addressed quite a few areas in the club since Eddie Howe's come in, it's just been, it's a credit to Eddie Howe's ability as a manager. There is been some funding. We can't say that we haven't had funding, because we have had funding, but not to the extent that quite a few people are saying that we've had funding too. Saying that the reason we finished 4th this season is because of money. It's purely not. When you look at it, and look at the starting lineup for most of the games in that season, just gone there, that we've had about 6 or 7 of the players in the starting lineups being players that were already there before Eddie Howe came in, before these owners came in. So, it's a credit to them as well for turning themselves around. I mean, one of the most influential ones of this whole, Eddie Howe regime and these owners at Newcastle has been none other than Joe Linton. What a turnaround is Joe Linton had. And then to be rewarded as well, at the end of the season as well, by getting a call up to the Brazil squad is just absolutely fantastic. It just shows, that the work that he's put in is fully being deserved, and it's worked out in the end, because he's gotten the call up to the Brazil squad, which he so rightfully deserved, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, deserved without a shadow of a doubt, because he's definitely been the most influential players, and like under Eddie Howe, and the player that's turned around the most. I mean, you got the likes of Longstaff, even I've put Lascelles in that category, because Lascelles, and that game against Man City, where I mean Haaland, to deal with a striker like Haaland is a tough job, and he managed it very well. Joy Tune for Life. Good afternoon, Jack. Good afternoon, Joy Tune for Life. Hope you're well, mate. Right. Without further ado, because there's quite a few players to get into this live stream. Bear in mind, guys, we're not going to be going through the wasteless players. I mean, what I mean by that is the players who haven't really played a role this season. So I'm not going to mark Ashby. I'm not going to mark Kraft because he was injured. I'm not going to mark Dummett, Lewis, Richie. I'm not going to maybe mark Richie a little bit, but you get what I mean. The players who have played the best part this season. But anyway, without further ado, we're going to start with the number one. Martin Dubravka. Carl, what are you going to mark Martin Dubravka this season?
I'm going to give Martin Dubravka, I think, well, considering that he didn't play too much in the season forward with him being away on loan and that, I'm going to say maybe it's a 5 or a 6 for Martin Dubravka. He was called upon a few times, and he did do a pretty decent job when he was called upon. But other than that, I'm just going to go with a 5 or a 6 for Martin Dubravka, I think, on that one.
Yeah, he did go out on loan to Manchester United on deadline day, I believe. Then he came back on the day the January transfer window opened, and then Nick Pope got a red card against Liverpool. Then he was called upon, and if being honest, didn't let a goal in, and he was very, very good against Liverpool. Obviously, couldn't play in the Carabao Cup final because he went out on loan to Manchester United. He's cup tied, and then he recently got called up against Chelsea, and he performed very well. If I'm being honest, I think a 5 or 6 is a decent score because you can't mark him over a 6 because he hadn't played half the season for Newcastle.
Yeah, true.
And the games he has played for Newcastle he's been relatively decent. Whether I think Dubravka deserves a first team start next season, we don't know. It depends what Eddie Howe's got in plan for him. Apparently, he wants Karras to sign a new deal, but we'll see what happens. But for me, I got to agree with Carl. I'll give Martin Dubravka a 6. Yeah, anyway, moving on now. We're not going to mark Gillespie because he's not even. He's just.
He hasn't even played.
He hasn't even played a single minute. I mean, he played 45 minutes against Al Hilal, and he was shocking. And then 45 minutes, he's gone. We're going to mark Loris Karius. Obviously, came in September as a free agent, Carl. And the only game he's really played in is the 45 minutes against Al Hilal and the full game against Manchester United in the cup final. But if I'm being honest, he's performed quite well. So what are you going to mark Karius?
I think, like you say, he's performed pretty well when he has been called upon. The 45 minutes against Al Hilal, he was just absolutely fantastic in that game. The way he handled himself in the goal forward in that game as well, being his first game for Newcastle as well, that was just absolutely fantastic the way he held himself in that goal. And for that alone, I would give him probably around a 6 to a 7 maybe. But for the Carabao Cup, can you take that down a little bit? Maybe, considering the way some of the goals went in, were they really, Karius's fault for some of them goals? Neither. Personally, in my opinion, I would say that, there wasn't really much that Karius could do with them, with the shots that Man United had against Wigan in that cup final. So I think, to be fair, it would be about a 6 or a 7 for Karius for me.
6 or 7. For me, Karius, I'm not going to mark him higher than Dubravka. For the only reason is he's played one game, and I do, and like Ian says here, I would like Karius to stay. I'm totally with you, Ian. I'm totally with you. I think Karius would love to be a backup. Apparently, he's going to Italy to Inter or AC Milan. But I'd love him to stay. I'd love him to sign a new contract, and I'm not going to mark him higher than Dubravka. Not because I think he's a bad goalkeeper, because I really do like Karius, and I think when someone says Karius, you instantly think back to the Champions League final for Liverpool against Real Madrid, and that is just such a shame because he's a good goalkeeper, and that season for Liverpool he was outstanding, and just that one game defined his whole career.
It wasn't even his fault, neither, because he ended up with a concussion, so that played a factor. So it was up to Liverpool really to take him off the field, but they ended up leaving him on, and it ended up just making the lad look absolutely stupid.
Yeah, he did have a concussion, and
Yeah.
you can't have concussions nowadays. Otherwise, you can't play with a concussion on the field because you're not going to play right. But for me, Karras, he's only played 90 minutes and 45 minutes this season, 90 minutes in a competitive game, and he was good in the 90 minutes. But yeah, again, I'd like him to play a little bit more. If Dubravka isn't here, I'd love him to play more in cup competitions just to see more of what he's like. But I'll give Luis Karras a 5. Now the big one. The future number 1, Nick Pope, Carl. He's been fantastic this season.
Oh, he has been absolutely sensational. Well worth the money we've paid for him, I've got to say. A lot of people were saying, why we're bringing him in. He just went down, with Burnley. But it doesn't necessarily mean just because you go down, and you get relegated that you're a bad goalkeeper. I mean, look at the likes of Aaron Ramsdale at Arsenal. He's proved this season, that he's a fantastic goalkeeper as well. So Nicky Pope has been absolutely sensational for this season. The safest hands you can bet for in goals since, in my opinion, Shea Given, was it Newcastle as a goalkeeper? So that shows how much respect I have for Nicky Pope, because Shea Given is by far probably one of the best goalkeepers Newcastle's had in with history, in my opinion, or at least in my memory with history. But to say Nicky Pope, between the goals for where he's just been absolutely sensational, and it's a shame, that he didn't pick up the Golden Glove at the end of the season as well for the clean sheets. It was a very dodgy call, I think, on that one, that we ended up seeing David De Gea pick it up because, he was really poor, in my opinion. I don't know how he managed to get so many clean sheets, but there's obvious reasons behind it, I'm sure, with corrupt decisions going in favour of Man United like they usually do. But for me, Nicky Pope's got to be right up there. He's got to be at least a 9 or a 10. I'm going to go with a 9 though, because I believe, you can't be 100% perfect. And if I give him a 10, then that's 100% perfect. But I do believe there's always room for improvement. So I'll give him a 9 for that room for improvement going ahead with the next season. So for me, Nicky Pope would be a 9.
Yeah, I've gone 10. I've gone 10, reason being, going for 10 million. And like you said, Carl, I mean, most players who go down, people say, oh, he's gone down for a reason because he's bad.
Yeah.
But Nick Pope, I mean, I prefer, at the beginning, when we were linked to Dean Henderson, I was like, I kind of prefer Dean Henderson, but watching the first game against Forest, I'm like, bloody hell, he's changed my mind like that. I mean, look at Dean Henderson. I mean, don't get me wrong, Dean Henderson's a good goalkeeper, but Nick Pope, I was very impressed with him the season he went down with Burnley. He saved some brilliant shots, and then he took that and made himself even better coming to Newcastle. And yeah, like you said, Carl, very unlucky not to get the Golden Glove. I don't know how De Gea got it. Jesus Christ, who knows? Because he can't even save. He can't even save a 2-mile-an-hour shot from a Gundogan volley.
That was bad.
That was very bad. But anyway, I'm going to give Nick Pope a 10. I mean, like Predator says here, Pope is a 9. He needs to work on his footwork during off season. That is right. Yeah. I totally agree. He does need to work with his footing and his distribution with his feet, because he's not very good with his feet. Many times last season, a goal could have gone in due to him messing about at the back. So he definitely needs to. He's given me plenty of heart attacks last season, and he definitely needs to work on that. So I'll give Nick Pope a 10. Right, moving on to the defenders now. First one, there's no point marking Harrison Ashby. He hasn't even played a minute this season. Right. But yeah, again, he's one for the future. He is definitely one for the future. But the man himself, Carl, Sven Botman.
Again, just absolutely sensational. He's just been a dream to watch in that centre-back position. The way he's partnered up so well as well with Fabian Shaw has just been absolutely amazing. He's definitely one for the future moving forward, but he's also one for the present as well, because of the way he's playing. He's, in my opinion, well ahead of the rumours that they were saying he was like Virgil van Dijk. He's well ahead of Virgil van Dijk, in my opinion. The way he plays, his movement, he's a lot quicker on the ball as well. And his IQ as well in the game is well ahead of what Van Dijk's got. Don't get us wrong, Van Dijk is a fantastic defender for Liverpool, but Sven Botman is just, wow. It's like watching a world-class player, literally. Just, I can't believe how good, he is. I seen him when he was playing in France, the way he was playing. I seen clips of him and stuff, and obviously he's come from the youth academy of Ajax as well, so they've got a fantastic record for bringing youth players through. You only have to look at the likes of Christian Eriksen and Julian Timber as well, who we're being linked to now, that have come through that academy at Ajax. But for me, Sven Botman's got to be right up there for the player rating, and I'm going to give him a 10. I'm going to give Sven Botman a 10 for this season. He's been absolutely fantastic, and I think he can go even further beyond what he's shown this season as well.
Yeah, we may as well give a whole defensive line a 10 because best defensive record in the league.
Well said.
There's only one answer for this: 10. I mean, he's literally. I won't say he's better than Van Dijk overall, because Van Dijk, let's be honest, he's not been good last season. He was awful, but the past seasons. Can we just say Van Dijk's what, 29, 30, 31?
Yeah, around that, yeah.
Botman's like, what, 23? He's
23, 24, something like that.
Like, he's just so young, and he's also got Champions League experience. Played with Lille in the Champions League, and we're playing Champions League next year. So Sven Botman's going to really bring something to that back line. And but let's be honest, Botman, best defensive record in the league. He's just brilliant. I mean, there's definitely stuff to improve. I mean, he's still young, he's still learning. But as of last season, 10, 100%. Right, Dan Burn, this is an interesting one because Dan Burn hasn't played in his position. He only played in his natural position once against Nottingham Forest. But for the rest of the season, he's played at left back. He's not obviously going to be a left back next season, I don't think. I think we will buy a left back next in the summer. But how good's Dan Burn been this last season, Carl?
It's just a local lad, pulling on the black and white shirt. I mean, he's got to be absolutely excited with that season, the way we played, and to be part of it. He's got to have been literally going to bed at night thinking, I can't believe I'm part of this absolutely fantastic time at Newcastle United, especially after the journeys have to come to get to that moment where he gets to play for Newcastle, scoring at the Gallagher end this season as well. For his first goal against Leicester, and what a goal it was as well. Just absolutely fantastic goal for a defender of all people to score something like that. It's just absolutely amazing. The likes of Lionel Messi or any winger out there, would die to score a goal like he scored against Leicester. And, Dan Burn scoring it, he just absolutely drank it all in. He's been fantastic in the left back position for me. The way, we've adapted him into that area as well, just kind of goes really well with it as well, because it allows to have that 6'7" size of Dan Burn in there in the defence. Then you've got the likes of Sven Botman as well, who we just talked about, who's well over 6'3". Then you've got Fabian Shaw as well, who's also a massive guy. Then Trippier, who it's kind of smaller guy, but still has, the reputation of a massive guy. So just all bodes really well into the squad, and that's the brilliance of Eddie Howe, and his managerial ability, and all of the other coaching staff behind the scenes as well, just all pulling the players and getting every little ounce of talent that we've got in that squad and putting them into areas where people wouldn't think, they could play. And to see Dan Burn playing there this season's just been absolutely amazing. A lot of people were saying, he doesn't have much speed, but you're 6'7". You don't really need much speed when you're 6'7". You can literally cover more ground than anybody else can cover within no time at all. So for me, Dan Burn has got to go up there as well. Like you say, we might as well just give the whole defence a 10 because they've been that amazing this season. Nicky Pope as well has just been sensational in there. as well. So for me, I'd probably go with a 10 for Dan Burn as well. And it's probably going to sound like a record over the next two as well, because they're probably going to be 10s as well for the way they've been playing this season.
Yeah, 100%. Dan Burn, seen though he's been playing in the wrong position, but has excelled brilliantly. A few games he's been very bad, but a lot of the games he's been very good. But best defensive record in the league. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that. But Dan Burn has got to be a 10. I mean, Dan Burn, a 6'7" left back. When have you heard that? When have you heard a 6 foot? When have you heard a left back being 6'7"? You just don't hear it. And the fact that he scored quite a few goals last season, Leicester, Brighton. Plenty of goals gone in from Dan Burn, and he's been absolutely sensational last season. We've got a few comments to go over. When's the new kit out? Says NUCBM. Well, it's a story.
It's July, I think.
Yeah, it's normally out in June. It's normally out earliest June. Obviously, it's Castori, so we don't know what's going to happen with Castori because they don't. It's not like Adidas or Nike. Speaking of Nike, I don't want Nike anywhere near Newcastle United. I mean, have you seen the prices of Nike? 120 quid. 120 quid for a Liverpool shirt. Absolutely unbelievable. In a bad way.
According to the news that I seen recently, they're saying that Castor will be the last season. They've been told by the club that this season will be their last season as the kit makers, and next season will be going with Adidas. So if them rumours are true, then we will be having Adidas on the shirts next season. So that would be absolutely amazing. I mean, Adidas has produced some fantastic kits over the years when they were Newcastle's kit makers. So I would absolutely love to see them come back as the kit makers.
I mean, Adidas or Puma. I mean, even Puma were very good at Newcastle. I really did like some of their kits. But I mean, you got the historic Adidas shirt from the 97-99. I mean, the one right behind me, that one. I mean, the historic one. I mean, that's one Puma one as well. I did quite like that kit as well in the dark days of Newcastle under Brucey. But yeah, I think about earliest June. I think earliest June the new kit might come out.
I think that's
Joy Tune for life. Botman 9.5. If only he scored, it would have been a 10. That is the thing. Botman, he hadn't scored at all. But listen, defenders aren't always going to have to score. That's not their job. The striker's job is to score. If defenders score, it's a bonus. But defenders, they're paid to defend, and that's what they're paid for. And Botman will get a goal next season. I'm pretty sure about it.
I think he will, yeah.
You can't go 2 seasons without scoring, surely. Predator says here, in all honesty, I can't give anyone a 10 because no one has been perfect, but 9s are well deserved all round for what they've achieved this season as a squad. Well said, Predator. Burn 9 done good considering it's not his natural position, says Ian. Anyway, let's move on to the other defender. We're not going to mark Paul Dummett. We're not going to mark Kraft because they've not played a single part of this season. But Kraft, though, how good would he have been last season? To say how good he was to the end of the 21-22 season, he was fantastic. But how good would he have been last season if he didn't get injured?
Oh, he would. I think he would have had a fantastic season. I mean, he was doing really well up until he got injured in that game against Tranmere Rovers early on in the cup, the first match of the cup. Of course, before we went through right the way through the final, but if he hadn't got injured in that, I think he would have had a really good season. He probably would have been playing maybe his left back forward with Trippier on the right back position, and we probably wouldn't have seen Dan Burn playing at the left back position, in my opinion, this season, or Trippier over on the left back position because of them being that versatile. They could play, either one. But I think he would have had a fantastic season. He really would have. I do kind of feel sad for the lad that he didn't get a chance, to show what he was worth this season. And I don't think that's going to affect his place in the squad, going into next season. It would be very harsh by Eddie Howe in St Ashworth, if they want to be considering moving Emmy on, to be honest. But I think, he will have a place in the squad next season. Hopefully, he'll get a chance in the squad next season as well. There's quite a few games to play next season with that Champions League in now. So I think there will be a chance for players, if they're willing to put in the effort to get themselves out there and be seen playing in the Champions League, League Cup, FA Cup. even in the Premier League next season. So there'll be plenty of chance for everybody.
Yeah, 100%. But Kraft, he should be back next season. He should be back in August because I think he did ACL. So that was out for about 8 to 9 months, and he should be back in August. But slowly, because ACL, you can't miss about the ACLs. They are the worst injury you can get in football, really.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, ACL can really affect your career, and hopefully it hasn't affected Kraft because he was a good player. And if Kraft comes back, we'll have to see how he is in preseason, if he can play in preseason. But speak about preseason, I can't wait for this summer series because I don't think I'll be able to watch the 1 a.m. one, but I think I'll be able to watch the 12 and quarter to 8 one. But anyway, let's move on. Alistair's here. Hi, how is everyone going? Do you know who we're buying? I'm not in the know, Alice. I don't know who we're buying. All our jobs as YouTubers is to report on news and to give you guys news and talk about it. We're not Dan Ashworth, we're not Eddie Howe, we're not the owners. We don't know who we're buying at all. We don't know who's in our shortlist. But all our job is as YouTubers provide you content and report on news. Ian says hi, Brian, and Brian's replying hi, Ian. Anyway, let's move on to the Jamal Lascelles. He hasn't played loads last season. But I must say, for the games he did play, I mean, Liverpool, he was good. Man City, he was good.
Yeah.
He scored a goal against Tranmere, so I think he's been reasonably okay last season, Carl.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that because he has done his bit where he's been called upon last season. I mean, he was never going to be a constant feature in the squad. Obviously, with the way that defence has been this season, we've covered it quite a bit already. You know, how fantastic that defence has been this season. And for see, you know, Lascelles even getting a handful of games this season has been decent considering, you know, how well that defence has been. So I think when he has been called upon, he's done really well. I don't know if I'd rate him very, very highly up. I'd maybe give them around the same as Martin Dubravka, maybe it's a 5 or a 6, maybe a little bit higher or a 7, or depending, of course. But for what he's done behind the scenes, he's done quite a lot. You know, he's been the captain off the field, and that is what Eddie Howe, you know, wanted him to be. He wanted him to be that leader off the field, and he did that quite a bit. Quite a few other players have done that as well. You know, like Matt Ritchie. He's been a fantastic leader off the pitch. Mark Gillespie even as well, you know, where he hasn't played as much. He has done other things like behind the scenes, being a leader, you know. So for them kinds of players, you know, they've done a really decent job. For Lascelles, I would say I'll give him a 7 for the way he's performed this season. It might be a bit high, but I feel, you know, for also contributing behind the scenes as well, a 7 is pretty good rating for Lascelles this season.
Yeah, 100%. Ian says here, Lascelles 7 for what he did off the park as well as on, says Ian. Well said, Ian. Yeah, I'm going to give him a 7 as well. He played well against Liverpool, played well against Man City, scored a goal against Tranmere, like I said. Apart from that, didn't feature in anything. Got yellow. He was a 12th man at times, including getting a yellow card against Chelsea. When he wasn't even on the pitch.
Yeah.
That was funny. That was very funny. But Jamal Lascelles, it's been a while since I've had. It's weird rating Jamal Lascelles a 7. Normally it'd be in the 2s or 3s, or maybe even in the 1s, because he was not good years ago. But I think he's turned it around. Reason being, Eddie Howe. Because Eddie Howe just seems to just put a magic spell on these players and turn them around upside down. And Jamal Lascelles, for me, it's been a while since saying this, but a 7. I can't believe I'm saying them words right there. We're not going to rate Jamal Lewis. He played what against Sheffield Wednesday, and we went out. No, there's no point. He's only played that one game last season. I think he'll be departing in the summer. Manquillo. He's made a few appearances, but we'll mark him. I'm going to give Manquillo a 4. I mean, featured the often time, but didn't make any impact, so didn't do as good. But yeah, I'll give Manquillo a 4. We're going to rate him, Carl.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree with a 4 for Manquillo as well.
Yeah. Matt Ritchie, yet again, one of them ones where I think he might depart in the summer, where there's talks that Eddie Howe might want to keep him. Do we know that? I don't know. But Matt Ritchie, look, he's made the odd appearances, like I said about Manquillo, but he's been better than Manquillo. He's been all right. So I give one more than Manquillo. I give Ritchie a 5.
Yeah, I think I'd give him a 6. Again, just the same as Lascelles, pretty much. I'd give him that 6 for the fact that he's done so well behind the scenes as well as a leader. So I'd go with a 6 for Matt Ritchie. He's just a fantastic player.
Yeah, I always remember that goal against Man United, which we won 1-0 at St James's, and it's always nice beating Manchester United. You don't really get a better feeling, do you? But anyway, let's move on to the big dog, Mr. Fabian Schär. I really want to kick this one off. 10s all round for Fabian Schär. He is just a unit, and he's just a war tank. I mean, you can knock him, you can even kill him on the pitch. He get back up and carry on playing. You can knock him out, he'll keep on playing. He's unbelievable. And the pairing he's had with Botman, oh my God. We talk about Carroll's getting concussion. I don't think a concussion even comes close to Fabian Schär because of the amount he's had. And I think he's going to enjoy this little rest. Actually resting his head onto a sofa for the summer. But for me, Fabian Schär gets a 10 all around. Carl?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, when you consider, that we only paid $3.5 million for him during the Rafa era at Newcastle United, that is an absolute steal for, what he's doing now. A lot of people were writing him off. They were saying, he's a championship level player. Man, he's proved them all wrong. I've always been a fan of Fabian Schär, the way he just can play. He's just an absolutely sensational defender. Kind of reminds us a little bit of Philip Albert back in the day with the way he plays. It's just fantastic football, and he can shoot as well. What a goal he scored against Nottingham Forest on the opening day. I mean, that goal, the long ranges, they're just absolutely sensational. And to think, that when they're going in, that's a defender doing that. That is absolutely just crazy to think, that a defender is actually scoring that goal. That just shows you how well Schär is as a player. I'd have to agree with you on that. An absolute 10 for me, the way he performs.
Yeah, Ian agrees with us. Schär 10 runs through a brick wall for the tune. 100%. I mean, that goal against Nottingham Forest brought him back to that goal. Was it Burnley? He scored against or Bournemouth?
Bournemouth, I think it was.
I think it was Bournemouth. I'm just going to quickly check that because I don't want to be wrong. Schär goal the Bournemouth. I think we are right there. I don't know why it's saying that. Yeah, we are right. It was against Burnley. It was against Burnley. Yeah, it was against Burnley, and that, I mean, 2 identical goals. I mean, yeah. And they were just absolutely unbelievable. But next we've got Matt Targett. He got injured a bit late 2022. Didn't really feature because Dan Burn's been playing so well.
Yeah.
And but for Matt Targett, he's been unlucky last season. When we got him on a permanent, I thought he's going to feature a lot. I thought he's going to be the next level for our left back, and I thought he could be a left back for a few years, depending on where we go. But for me, Matt Targett, he's been very, very unlucky. But for me, Matt Targett hardly featured, and I'm going to have to give Matt Targett. I mean, I feel really harsh giving him this, but Targett, he hasn't done anything last season. Reason being, he can't get a place in the team because we played that well. Exactly. So I'll give Matt Targett a 3. Oh, I feel so bad for giving him a 3 there.
I don't think I'd be that harsh with him personally. I'll say maybe dead in the middle, give him a 5. For what he has done in this season, he's done pretty well. It's not really his fault that the Pollard got injured, and then couldn't really see his way back into the squad because the defense was just that fantastic. It was so tough for so many players to get into the defense, and quite a few of the players that were in the defence, getting their chances. They were having to come on as substitutes. Unfortunately, Matt Target couldn't do that, because he wasn't able to get in there as much. Eventually, we did see him come on a few times towards the end of the season, but I think a 5 would probably be about right for him. It's dead in the middle. He still did pretty decent at the end of the day when he did get called upon. So 5, I'd say, for me.
Yep, number 5. Ian says Target unlucky because of injury. 5. Now let's move on to the skipper. Well, for me, my skipper. I do think Lascelles is a good skipper, but for me, Trippier's the skipper. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But Kieran Trippier, I'll let you do the honors, Carl. Kieran Trippier.
Well, what do we say about Kieran Trippier? What a fantastic fullback. I mean, he was the first signing of this new era. He turned away from Atletico Madrid when they still wanted him there. Diego Simeone literally begging for him to stay at Atletico Madrid. That shows how good Kieran Trippier is. He came to a team who were fighting a relegation battle. We didn't know if we were going to stay up in the league or not. We just got Eddie Howe as our manager. We just got the takeover. We just didn't know what was going to happen in that season. We stayed up in a very respectable place, 11th, I think it was, that we ended up finishing in the season. And then, of course, we rolled on to this season. And what a fantastic season he's had once again, proven to be the leader of the team on and off the field as well. Not to mention, the amount of times that he travelled with the team whilst he was injured as well in the previous season, which I forgot to mention there, of course. But that shows, the dedication of the guy and the way he's just addressed everything in the team. You could see him, on a match day, he's got his hands all over the place. He's pointing to this player over on the left wing. He's pointing to this player in the midfield. He's pointing to the players in the defence. He's just completely getting everybody together in one area. That just shows, the brilliance of him. And for me, he's got to be given a 10. The way he's just leading that back line. That's one of the reasons we've had the best defence this season is because of Kieran Trippier, because of that, leadership quality that he's got. And for me, he's definitely my captain. Quite a few people, will also agree, like yourself. You've just said yourself, he's definitely your captain. So for me, Kieran Trippier is my captain at Newcastle United. What a player he is. And I'm just so happy, to say that he turned away from Atletico Madrid, come here and took the risk that quite a few players wouldn't have took in his position. So for me, definite 10.
Yeah. For me, it's got to be a 10 as well. I mean, Ian says, Sully says, afternoon, Jack. Hey, Carl, total loss without football. Look, mate, this summer's going to be way better than last summer. Last summer, I was really, really, really dying without football. Really, really dying without football. But this summer, we've got a lot to look forward to. New sponsor, new kits, new signings, new everything, really. New everything. So this summer's going to be a lot better than last summer. Don't you worry, Sully. But yeah, totally agree. I'm lost about football as well. I mean, at least we've got a few international... I mean, I've never been so excited for an international break, really, because, watching the FA Cup final yesterday was a breath of fresh air, watching actually two Premier League sides go at it. And it was by far was it a very good final. Ian to say, Trips 9, great defender, crossing and set pieces, could have been better. That has got to be taken into consideration. But for me, 10. But his crossing was good until the later stages of the season. But his defending has been better, a lot better. I think he's always been a good defender. But for me, Trippier, you can't not give him a 10, really. I mean, being a captain at right back is really hard. Really hard. You tend to put captains in the midfield, in the middle of the park, or a middle centre back in the middle of the centre backs. You don't really get a right back captain, really. So it's a really hard position to captain from. But by Ali's, he's been very good from it. Brian says that I'm playing FIFA, so I can't comment much. For 10s all round, no compliments though. That's just me. 100% effort. You get a 10 from me. Cheers, Brian. Cheers for the 10. My life is now complete. Anyway, let's let's move on to the midfield. I don't know why Miggy's there, but we're not going to mark Miggy as a midfielder because let's be honest, he's a winger. So let's mark Elliot Anderson. A breakthrough season. We did think he was going to go out on loan again towards January, but he's really turned it around in the later stages of the season, Carl.
Yeah, he has. He's definitely a one for the future. I did think he would get loaned out, but I also had a feeling that Eddie Howe, would want to keep him close to the first team, work his magic on him like he's worked his magic on so many players in that team already, and it has worked out really well because we've seen some fantastic stuff from Elliot Anderson this season, the way, he's took teams on when he has been asked upon as well from Eddie Howe. He was a little unlucky and a little unfortunate, I thought, in his game against Nottingham Forest down at the City Ground to have his goal disallowed. I mean, for me, it should have never been disallowed. That should have definitely been a goal. It was very harsh by them to do that, and the lad fully deserved to have a goal this season. So to see him not come away from this season with a goal is pretty harsh. But he has picked up a couple of assists. So that in itself is good. At least he's gotten something out of this season. And he's also gotten the most important thing of all, which is first team experience, playing in a team around some pretty amazing players, playing in that midfield around the likes of Bruno, around the likes of Big Joe, Joe Willock as well. He's been around them players on the training ground, and that can only benefit you going forward. So for me, I think for this season, I'd give him a 7 because I wouldn't want to rate him too highly. I mean, not like an 8 or 9 or a 10, because he hasn't really done that much to get to that level. But for me, as a start-out season, a breakout season in the Premier League, I'd give him a 7, which is fantastic, for a kid of his age coming into the squad and showing, what he's worth in playing for his hometown club as well. There's always going to be the pressure on your back of doing well, wearing this black and white shirt. And, it's just one of them things what we're happy to see, local lads coming through. That's what we always want to see. Quite a few of them of late, quite a few of them last season we've seen, Dan Burn, Sean Longstaff, Elliot Anderson, Jacob Murphy, who we'll obviously get onto in this players ratings. But for me, 7 for Elliot Anderson.
7 for Elliot Anderson. Anderson 7. Done okay, says Ian. Meant the players. You two 10 plus, mate, as always. Oh, my bad, Brian. So let's have a quick comment. No comments though. That's just me. 100%. You get 10 from me. I'm pretty sure he's giving us a 10 there. And we've got a 10 now. We've got a 10 now, says Brian. We've got a 10 now, so that's all good to know. Yeah, I agree. I agree with Carl. I agree. Yeah, 7 for me. I think I nearly said 10 there, but 7. I'm gonna give him a 7. Really unlucky with that Forest one. Should have got that goal. How that was offside, I have no idea. That was a robbery. But luckily we won that game. But Elliot Anderson, look, like you said, Carl, playing the likes of Big Joe, Bruno, Willock, Longstaff, it can only benefit you going forward. You're a better player playing around better players. You don't really see pros playing around the Coventry side, would you? You won't see a Messi playing with Coventry, really.
You just have to look at thingy for an example of that. I mean, Man City with Phil Foden. Look at what Foden's done at Man City, playing around the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, and it's just benefiting them hugely.
Yeah. But playing around better players makes you a better player, and it matures you in a way. Playing with older players as well. But yeah, 100%. Are you doing TTR? Are you or TTR doing watch songs for European finals, Jack? I don't think I've had anything planned doing watch songs for Paul's channel, but I'd love to. I'll have to speak to him about it. Anyway, let's move on to the man himself, Big Joe, Joel Linton. I'm gonna start us off, Carl. I apologise. You can do Bruno, but I'll give him a 10. I mean, my player of the season is just the next level. I mean, a few years ago, this man was playing number 9 up front, Bruce, and he couldn't finish. I remember that one, was it against Sheffield United? He was running through.
Yeah.
slipped over, fell on his face, and John Shelby was just like, "Oh my God, who am I playing with here?" And as soon as I saw that, I'm going, "Get out of my club. Who are you? 40 million? We've been ripped off. We've been ripped off for 40 million."
Oh, yeah.
Eddie Howe came in. I mean, giving Jolinton a 10, we may as well give Kieran Clark a 10. If it wasn't for Kieran Clark, this man wouldn't be getting a 10 right now, because Eddie Howe wouldn't have thought to put him in midfield. But Jolinton, who no one would have seen this coming. Jolinton going from ones every year to a 10 and player of the season. Unbelievable. So it's got to be a 10 without a doubt. Carl?
Yeah, I'd fully agree. I mean, what a turnaround he's had. It's been just absolutely sensational. Like you say, when I seen him playing that game against Sheffield United, I was like, oh, God, what we got here? And you were like, no way is this lad a striker. No way can he score 20 or 30 goals for us. He's never going to do it. And we know a striker because we've had the greatest striker of all time in Alan Shearer. So we know when we see a striker, and Jolinton was never a striker. This lad, has just had an absolutely fantastic turnaround. Fully deserved, like I said, earlier on, getting the call up to the Brazil squad. And at one point, when he was playing really bad, I was saying that, he was worth more like 40 pence than 40 million. Now he's worth every single ounce of that 40 million. Hell, I'd even pay more to have a player of this caliber. And he's worth well and truly more than that 40 million we've paid now, in my opinion. He's got to be worth well up into the 100 millions by now, by the way he's been performing this season. It reminds you, like quite a few people were saying, he reminds you of a Patrick Vieira at Arsenal. That type of player. He's just able to muscle people around. And what a fantastic player he is, and what a fantastic player he's become. The drive that he's had to have to turn it around as well. So for me, I agree with you. It's got to be a 10.
I'm pretty sure the whole club will agree with me. Anyway, Mags on top says up the effing Mags. Brian's to say Brazil going to be a beast of a team. I'm looking forward to watching them play. I truly think Brazil might have won that World Cup if Jolinton was involved, because some of them games for Brazil, they needed a midfielder who just bosses the midfield, pushes everyone around, doesn't give a crap, and they needed someone like Jolinton. Yeah. I mean, they got Fred in midfield. Fred. What kind of Brazilian name is that? Fred. I mean, you compare Fred to Jolinton. I mean, it's night and day. It's literally like I forgot the saying, but come on, Fred versus Jolinton. There's only one winner out there.
Oh God!
My word. Mags on top says, boys, question: would you sell Miggy if price is right? Carl, would you sell Miggy if the price came in?
It would have to be the right price. I mean,
if the right price came in,
he's had a fantastic time this season. Yeah, I probably would. It would have to be quite a big price though. Probably, I'd say 30-40 million. If we could get that, that may be quite a bit of an ask. But if we could get that, then I'd probably sell him for that amount of money.
I mean, looking at his age, Almiron is 29. So he's just coming into his peak years. He's in his prime at the minute, and he was playing in his prime in October, let's just say that. But Miggy, he's definitely worth the 30, 35, 40, sort of that. And if we get that offer, we may never get a better offer. So for me, if the price is right, I would sell him, because there are better players out there. I hate to say this, but there are better players out there. But I love Miggy. I love him. He's such an infectious player. When he smiles, his day brightens up.
Yeah.
He doesn't stop smiling, and I love Miggy. But if the price was right, I would sell him. We're not going to mark Ryan Fraser for obvious reasons, because he's a spoiled little brat. We're going to mark Bruno now. Carl, I'm going to let you do the honours. Bruno.
Yeah. It's just pretty much the same, isn't it? What can you say about him? He's just fantastic. He just holds the team together in the midfield, the way he commands the team as well. His through balls are just amazing. He's well up there for me is one of the best midfielders in the Premier League right now, and he was like that, just off of his first season in the Premier League. You could say, he was going to be an absolute world beater of a midfielder. So, there's not really much. I'm speechless. Let's just say that with what to say about Bruno, because there's just no words that can describe how fantastic he is as a player. And he's really taken to Newcastle. The way he's learned the language so fast as well, it's just been amazing. Shows his dedication to the area and to settling down here. He moved his family all across here from the moment he came in. So, he wanted to make a go of it. And that just shows, that he was ready to prove that he can be at that top level. For me, it's got to be a 10 for Bruno, the way he's just commanded his place in the team.
I don't know. I know it's all opinions. On ratings, but Mags on top rates Bruno an 8.
An 8?
An 8 is a bit harsh. I mean, I know I went 3 with Target, but that is something different. I mean, yeah, Mags on top. It's your opinion. It's all on opinions. If you think it's an 8, it's an 8. But I'm a bit bewildered by that. Bruno 9 for Ian. Bruno another level 20. If Paul's here, I'll say 10. Brian Mags and Top doesn't really agree. Brian says definitely not a 10. And Brian says, I know he's a 20. He's a 20 out of 10. He had a poor spell at one point. He's been in, but Mags on top. You got to take this into consideration. That injury against Fulham, which he hurt his ankle really badly, and he had to come off at half time. That has affected him for the rest of the season. And the fact that he's still playing with an injured ankle and still performed to the highest that he can, that has got to be taken into consideration. That he's been brilliant. But nevertheless, he's been brilliant, and I would be lost, and we would be lost without him. Says Mags on top, because he's a crucial player. Go on, Carl.
Also, the fact that the Tottenham game, where his wife, his soon-to-be wife, had not long given birth to their child, Matteo, and he was at a bedside for the birth of the child, and then he was straight down to the capital and playing a 90-minute game against Tottenham, in their stadium, and we're coming out on top in that game as well. That shows right there, the dedication of him as a player. Again, so definite 10.
Yeah. He does play better with Longstaff. That is very true, Ian. That is very, very true. Very true. He does. Because against Chelsea, I did rate him quite low against Chelsea because I didn't think he had the best game. But yeah, again, Longstaff weren't there. But when Longstaff is there, Bruno can do what he wants to do. But anyway, speaking of Longstaff, let's move on to Longstaff. Have I rated Bruno? Well, I don't need to. You know what? I'm going to give him a 10. Longstaff. I'm going to give Longstaff, why not? 10. Why not? Why the hell not? I think he's my unsung hero of the season. He's just, the amount of work he puts in off the ball as well as on the ball. Yeah, his tackling is, he's just a beauty of a midfielder now. And who would have thought that? I mean, when he signed the year contract at the end of last season, I was thinking, I'm not sure about this. But anyway, who would have thought? A few years ago, we wanted Longstaff out the club. We didn't think he was good enough. But recently, we've been crying when he's not in the squad. We're like, when's Longstaff back? When is he back? I hope he's back. Who would have thought we'd be saying them words a few years ago, Carl? But he's been fantastic.
He has. He's been absolutely amazing to watch. At points throughout the season, you've seen, where we haven't had him in the games and we've missed him in them games. The same with Bruno, where, we didn't have Bruno in a few games throughout the season and we're missing him in them games. And that's what you want to see. You want to see the players like that, where when they're not in the squad, you can feel their absence in the squad, and that shows just the quality of the player. And I've got to say, when Sean Longstaff first came on the scene at Newcastle United, he was an absolutely sensational player. He was just completely amazing. So many teams in Europe were after. Man United offered 50 million for him at one point, which it turned, Sean Longstaff's head at that point because he was only a young lad. So getting his head turned by Man United at 50 million. You know, it was entirely up to him if he wanted to make the move, because in modern day football, as we all know, you know, players get to choose where they go these days. Obviously, the club still has the final say on accepting the offer, but the players do have a lot more control over where they go. But, you know, then we're seeing Longstaff, you know, kind of go on a bit of a downward spiral. We found out, you know, that was purely because of mental health reasons that he was having a downward spiral. You know, Steve Bruce wasn't playing him. He wasn't even training players. It's the training ground Neva was going through about 3, 4, maybe even 5 days, you know, where players weren't getting trained at the training ground. Obviously, the players could go in themselves and train, but that's not the same. You know, you're not getting the schedule or anything like that. So to see him, you know, turn around, get his mental health problems sorted out is fantastic. Obviously, you know, you can never sort that sort of stuff out 100%, but he's still sorting it out. He's dealing with it, and that's good to see. And, you know, he's just a fantastic player to watch again. You know, he's proven once again what he showed when he first came on the scene. So for me, definite 10. It's a definite 10.
Mags on top says Longstaff 9. Ian's gone 10. Brian says yes, Longstaff 10 got us through to the final along with Big Dan Burn. That is true. Scored 2 against Southampton, got us to the final. Angray said, I presume that's you good. Am I right? Please let me know,
so.
Angray. I think it says you good. I'm good. I'm pretty sure Carl's good. Brian says, I know we can't rate him because he played 1 game, but Miley has excited me for the future. Calm down, Brian. We ain't got to him yet. Calm down. Brian, you should have scored. He should have scored against Chelsea. Unlucky to hit the crossbar. Longstaff is essential to Angray. He is indeed. You know what? Why not? Let's mark Miley. He's only played 20, 30 minutes, but we'll give him a. I'll start this off. I'll give him a. Can we even mark him? You know what?
We'll give him a 10. Go on.
For the bants. Let's do it for the bants. Speaking of banter, Jacob Murphy. I mean, it's got to be a 10, not just because of the memes, and he's been a class player as well. I've got to give him a 10. I mean, this player, he went on loan to Sheffield Wednesday. He's got a very identical twin, which looks exactly like it. But Murphy's completely changed this season. I mean, that goal against Spurs, unbelievable. That goal against Everton, which mainly should have been Isak's. But anyway, Jacob Murphy, he's just turned it around again this season. I give him a 10.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to give him a call.
Yeah, definite 10. Definite 10. Just absolutely fantastic. Again, just like Dan Burn, like Longstaff, you know, he's just living the dream. The dream that all us Newcastle United fans want to do, you know, since growing up as lads playing for Newcastle. You know, they're just absolutely living the dream, and fair play to them, you know, because it's just an absolutely fantastic moment to be alive as a Newcastle fan, and he's definite 10 for the way he's played this season.
Yeah. I don't know what Mags on top is smoking today. How are we giving Murphy a 10? Come on, lads. 7.
A 7?
You giving Murphy a 7? Oh no. Oh dear. Your opinion. But come on. You just got come on, man. Ian says 10. Thank you, Ian. Murphy has stepped up, a big surprise. Exactly, Angray. I mean, he has just turned it around this season. I just don't really get how you can give it a 9 or 10. I'd take a 9. Like Angray's at 9. I'd take it at 9 or 10, but 7's a bit harsh. 7 is very harsh. Anyway, Joe Willock. I'm going to give Joe a 9. I think at sometimes this season he's not been asked really to play. He's just not really turned up in most games. But when he does turn up, he's brilliant. He is absolutely brilliant. That pass against Tottenham, wow, what a pass. Pass of the season. But Joe Willock has been very good this year. A lot of these midfielders have just stepped it up. And sorry, my bad, Willockinho. He's just stepped it up last season. So we'll give him a 10. We're going to give him a call.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that as well. I'm going to agree on a 10. It's just been a fantastic season for Joe Willock. You know, he's proved himself throughout this season as well. Obviously not as good as the last season, but he's done other things in this season where, you know, he's been deserving of getting that 10 rating, and he's just, you know, going to get better as time goes on as well. So yeah, for me, it'll be a 10 for Joe Willock.
And just before we move on to the forwards, because not that many forwards to go through. Just as we nearly end the show, guys, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you stay notified whenever we go live or post a video, because there's going to be plenty more lives this summer. So stay tuned for all them. Carl's YouTube channel is his link is in the description below, so you can drop him a subscription. He's on the way now to 2,000, so get him there as quick as possible, because he does brilliant over there on that channel. Anyway, let's move on to the forwards. No problem. Let's move on to the forwards. Anthony Gordon came in January, near the end. We're going to give him a call. It's a tough one, this.
It is a tough one. I don't want to say a 10 because it's just, that would be too much, to be honest. I think an 8 maybe. Around a 7 or an 8 for Anthony Gordon, I think would be about just right. He's had a little bit of trouble settling into the squad, obviously, when it was going to take him some time to settle into how the team played. He did look a little bit shaky in a few games when Eddie Howe brought him in. But that last game against Chelsea, you know, down Stamford Bridge, I think we're seeing probably his best game, in my opinion, there. The way he got himself into the area, you know, perfectly positioned to find himself that goal. You know, I think he is starting to get a hold of it now, the style that Eddie Howe plays and the way the team plays, and he's starting to understand that, you know, Newcastle United play more of a team game and less of an individual game, something that, you know, obviously Everton were playing an individual game. So that's something that he had to wean himself away from. But for me, a 7 or an 8 for Anthony Gordon, definitely.
I honestly think Mags on top is looking for a bite. He's rated Gordon a 10. Okay, moving on. Willock 8.
Actual Newcastle fan.
Well, he's put like in a comment, so he's got to be. Yeah,
because there's a few doing the road pretending to be Newcastle fans these days.
Gordon 10. I just don't. Why though? Why?
There's a few of red and white neighbours pretending
he's
to be
nowhere near Joel
Newcastle
Linton
fans.
or Bruno. Yeah, he's nowhere near Joel Linton or Bruno or Botman or Cher. Anyway, moving on. Gordon 7. Gordon 7. 7. 7. Yes, Brian, he'll be a 10 next year. I mean, Gordon did say after the Chelsea game, it was finally good to get his goal, but he said, "I'm going to go away with the under-21s now. I'm not fit enough at the minute. I'm not fit enough, so I'm going to go away with the England squad, get absolutely ripped out of my mind, or get really fit, and come back and be a new player." So I'm very, very intrigued to see what Gordon we're going to get next year. But for me, I'll give Gordon a 7. Loads of room to improve, but he's like 21 years old. He's so young.
Yeah,
he's got a brilliant future ahead of him, and I think it was very good to get that goal against Chelsea to put him into the new season. We'll do Miggy Almiron. I'm going to give Miggy an 8. I thought it was brilliant in October. I thought it was brilliant before the World Cup. But after the World Cup, he scored that goal against Leicester. I mean, a few of these games he scored in crucial moments, which got us wins. I mean, the Everton won, only 1-0, Miggy goal. But after the World Cup, he got a rating for a full season. Half the season, got him the 7. Then he scored a few more goals, an 8. But after the World Cup, it was nowhere. He was nowhere to be seen. Nowhere to be seen. So I'm going to have to give him an 8. We're going to give him Carl.
I'd agree. If we're just rating him off of the first half of the season, it would be a 10. You know, for the way he played in that first half, it was fantastic. But unfortunately, the World Cup came at the wrong time, and he ended up, you know, getting into the moments coming back, and it just wasn't the same for him. He just didn't seem to hit the ground running again, and he had trouble, you know, settling back into the squad and back into his rhythm. So for me, yeah, I'd agree with you on that. It would be an 8. I'd go with an 8.
Angray says this team has to stay together and be given a chance. They will improve as they are young. They have earned a chance, says Angray. Yeah, 8. First half, 10. Second, it's come down, unfortunately. But Miggy, like we said, right price comes round, we'll sell him. But
yeah,
would
definitely.
I like to see Miggy go? No. Financial
No.
reasons? Yes. But Miggy, first half of season 10, but it's just unfortunately gone down. But that happens in teams. But Miggy hopefully has one of them spells for a full season next season. Hopefully we see him play out of his mind in the Champions League and score against Barcelona.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Alexander Isak, this guy is unbelievable. I've never seen a player like it. He's just, don't worry guys, we're not comparing him to Thierry Henry. We're just saying he's got traits to Thierry Henry because he's just not a number 9. He's not a Callum Wilson. He can play on the left, he can play on the right, he can play up top, he can do everything, that lad. I mean, just like a dribble alone against Everton, it's got to be a 10 all round, maybe even a 30. Just like a dribble alone. I mean, what are you giving him, Cole? It's got to be a 10, surely.
I'll agree with you on that. Definite 10. I can't help but think what would have happened this season if he had have played the whole season for it and he hadn't been out. You've got to feel, that inside, like, what would have happened? Could we have maybe won the league this season, or at least been in with a contention of winning the league this season if he had have been fit for the whole season? It's a definite 10. I mean, I can't wait to see what he does next season, and especially with the players that we'll be bringing in as well. With some of the ones that are being linked to it. I mean, Lionel Messi is being linked to it. If we get Lionel Messi in, that would be absolutely sensational to have him alongside the likes of Isak and Callum Wilson. It just be, it just doesn't bear to think, does it, how fantastic the team would be next season with some of the players that we're being linked to. But yeah, definite 10 for me on Isak.
Mags on top. Don't you dare. Don't. It's got to be a 10. I'm waiting for it. It's got to be a 10. But we'll move on now. Alan Saint-Maximin. Bit of a controversial one. But, I mean, the Man City game, the recent games, he's been all right. But for a lot of the games, he's just not been up there. But for me, Maxi, I'm giving him a 9 because I think Maxi, in most of these games last season, I don't think he's a 10. I don't think he's Alexander Isak level last season. But Maxi, he's just got to be up there, surely. Because Maxi, I think he's improved a little bit more last season. And you saw in recent games, Maxi's been a little bit unselfish. He's been giving it some more plays. I mean, Chelsea, that's a new Maxi I saw. I mean, he could have had way more attempts that game, but no, he decided to play it to the team. And look what happened. He played it to an overlap for Anton. We got a goal from it. So that's what I want to see more from Maxi. But yeah, again, if a right price comes for Maxi this summer, I'd sell him because we need a because Maxi would go for a lot of cash, and I think we would sell Maxi for a lot of cash. But Maxi's been, I think he's been good last season.
Yeah, he has. I fully agree. I agree with you. He'd be around about a 9 for the way he played in that game against Chelsea. Rating him over the season, you could take it down maybe to a 7, maybe. But I wouldn't say he's any lower than that, to be honest, because Maxi, has been fantastic. Even, before he got injured in the season, he was brilliant. His goal against Wolves, that was just absolutely sensational. The technique to score that kind of goal. There's not many around that can score a goal like that, I can tell you. Gundogan scored a sort of similar one in that FA Cup game against Man U yesterday. So, to see a player able to do that, that shows, what kind of quality is there. It's just up to, Eddie Howe to get it out of Maxi, up to Maxi himself as well to show that ability a lot more. And like you say, he wasn't greedy in the game neither. He passed the ball away, and that's what we want to see, because Maxi by far is one of the best dribblers in Europe, and we know that, from when we got him in. He had beaten away the likes of Lionel Messi. He beat away the likes of Ronaldo. He beat away the likes of Mbappe as well for dribbles in Europe. So we know the quality that is there. It's just getting it out of Maxi. And if he can then adapt that to be more of a team player and less of an individual, then we've got an absolutely sensational player on our hands. But again, like you say, if we can get rid of him for some money, I'd say anywhere from 70 to 80 million for Maxi, maybe more than that as well, because there's quite a few clubs that would probably pay more than that to have a player of that ability in their team. Then we can distribute that back into the team and bring somebody in that's already at that level, has that finishing quality as well to them. But yeah, I'd go with a 9, maybe take it down to maybe about a 7 for Maxi.
Yeah. Right, last one of the last player of the ratings before we move on to the man himself, or two, Eddie Howe and Tyndall, but we'll get on to that. Callum Wilson. Callum Wilson, look, before the World Cup, I think he was very, very good. Unlucky with an injury early on in the season, but he's top goal scorer last season. There's only one rating I've got to give him, and that's basically, I mean, to the later stage of the season. What a career this guy's having at the minute. What a campaign he's had. It's got to be a 10, surely.
Definite. It's a 10. 10.
It's got to be a 10. It's got to be a 10 for Callum Wilson. I mean, top goal scorer. He's just like, he's definitely going to fade away in the next few years, but as of right now, Wilson's got to be the 10. And yeah, he's definitely in contenders for player of the season. Wilson's 10 for Ian. 10, dry spell middle of the season, but got on form. Yeah, after the World Cup, he was like drowned because he worked so hard. But he got that back and he scored. So hopefully he plays a vital part next season. But Eddie Howe, Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall, do we need to explain this? It's got to be a 10.
A 10.
Surely?
Definite 10. I mean, the way they've just come in here, they've just taken to the whole philosophy of Newcastle. They get the fans, they know what they're doing. And, we all knew that Eddie Howe was a fantastic manager. I mean, look what he did with Bournemouth. They were nigh on out of business. He was the tax man banging on the door, as Eddie Howe has said himself, was banging on the door at Bournemouth. And he was going out there with Mad Dog, and they were buying the gym equipment, and they were buying different stuff out of their own pocket to make sure that team continued to play. They were rewarded by that to get them all the way to the Premier League, keep them in the Premier League for, I think it was 5 years they kept them in the Premier League. Unfortunately to see Bournemouth go down, Eddie Howe left, of course, or sacked or what have you. And then he went off, and instead of doing like we've seen with the likes of Lampard jumping in any old job and taking a paycheck, or any other manager that we've seen where they just jump into a job and take a paycheck, we're seeing Eddie, disappear from the game for a while, and then eventually being linked with moves to Celtic, then being linked with a move to us. Thank God he didn't take the Celtic job, because this job is just absolutely Eddie Howe written all over it. The way he manages, the whole approach, it's got a sort of Kevin Keegan vibe about it. And rightly so as well, because he's actually talked to Kevin Keegan before taking the Newcastle job. So for me, it is a definite 10 for Eddie and Jace. They've just been absolutely fantastic. And I can't wait to see their faces, when they get to play Champions League football next season. It's just so well deserved for two brilliant guys that just love football.
Yeah, I mean, I would go as far to stretch a 15 out of 10 or 20 out of 10. But yeah, Eddie Howe's been absolutely unbelievable. Predator says here, Jack, is there any TTR tonight, mate? I haven't seen anything mentioned. I believe there is a season review tonight at 8, so stay tuned for that. So TTR. Howard Tyndall 10 is Ian. 10 out of this world. Eddie, Mad Dog, and the ones we don't really know, but they've all been done amazing. Yeah, the backroom staff need to get mentioned as well. They've been unbelievable as well. Anyway, guys, that is it, everyone. That is the player ratings. Thank you all so much for coming to watch the live today. Bit of an unusual time, 3:30. Don't really go live that time. But anyway, guys, you guys have been amazing for coming on down, taking taking time out of your life to come and watch me and Carl discuss player ratings from the season that's just gone by. What season it's been. Hopefully everyone's enjoyed the season, and now we can go enjoy our summer and get ready for Champions League football and hopefully more top four next season. But thank you for coming on, Carl. Means a lot. Make sure you guys go smash a subscribe on Carl's channel. Link is down below. So please go subscribe to the channel. He's on the road to 2,000. So please make sure you drop a subscription. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, everyone. If you are new, post notifications as well. So you're notified when we go live or post a video. My socials are also down below in the link. My Instagram and Twitter is also down below. You guys have been amazing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming on, Carl. And we'll see you later. Bye bye, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.